I think, to be perfectly honest, when students first come into university, they don't think about the end results. They think about enjoying the subject, but 80% of them don't actually think about the after effects and what they actually want to do when they leave. And they realise there is life after university and they have to then find a job. I think at that stage you then become enthusiastic about it, but I think it's one of those things that probably needs to happen an awful lot earlier.
Now put yourself in a position of an employer. Later on you have 2 CVs in front of you. One is a new graduate with a year's worth of relevant experience and the other one isn't. Which one are you going to take? Which one is the safer bet? Which one would you...
There were so many things that I didn't give a thought to before.
These are small things that people notice.
My manager actually told me that the fact they saw I had 12 weeks of unpaid work experience meant they knew I was enthusiastic about it.
It's very much, and I was being more willing to try out new things and be more daring.
And obviously making tea, keep people happy all day.
It was the fact that I could hit the ground running.
On my first day I felt really, really nervous.
So many elements that are really important that don't even occur.
This is a major decision. It's going to cost a year of their life. Plainly, they have to be keen to do this.
I took an informed decision to do a placement year. I thought it'd be really beneficial to get some experience in such a competitive industry.
The offer came up. If I hadn't had any offers, I'd have just carried on through.
It's definitely an informed decision to do work experience. I mean, obviously from feedback I've got from people and feedback from interviews, that seems the best way to go.
Getting work experience full stop is really good in any employer's eyes. It's really good having your CV, and in current affairs as well, you can kind of apply that to lots of different areas.
It's definitely my choice to do it. I wanted to do it. If I hadn't have got the one I did, I would have taken 3 months work experience with someone else.
There were hundreds of companies, which I then wrote letters, wrote emails, phoned, basically pestered people. It's very much, luck is an important aspect of getting a contract.
Balance is absolutely key in getting a job in the creative industries.
I had a response from a company inviting me for an interview for a position with them for a placement.
Before the interview, I obviously look up the company, who the interviews for, see what programmes they make. Obviously try and watch some of the programmes, because in most interviews I've had, they ask if I'm familiar with their programming and stuff.
They always ask you in interviews about their company and about what you know about them.
I didn't prepare anything for that.
To be in an interview scenario, I was quite nervous.
Interviews for me are extremely scary.
You have to impress the people you're going to interview and you have to show enthusiasm.
I'd say it's more of an informal chat than a full-on interview.
It was okay, it was pretty relaxed.
Terrifying. I think the way I presented myself did pay off, because feedback from them from the interview was that I interviewed the best out of all the candidates they saw.
You have to come across as quite creative and as very personable and someone who's easy to talk to, who's also going to listen to questions and look at people when you're answering questions. Obviously dressing really, really smartly helps.
My first few interviews I went to, I would go in a suit and stuff, and I'll turn up in an interview and the person interviewing me would be in a pair of jeans, a t-shirt and a pair of trainers.
I think what they were really looking for was the fact that I could do the job straight away.
In hindsight, for the first interview I went to in London, I wish I had done more preparation, because I felt like a twit coming out and I hadn't really done that well because I didn't know much about what they did. So that probably then helped me prepare for the other one.
I think by not preparing, I avoided some of the kind of panic by having to try and think of every possible question they could ask me.
On my first day of placement, I felt quite nervous, as I presume most people will starting a new job.
It was quite overwhelming. I did feel like in at the deep end, definitely, but I sort of knew that in time I would be up to speed on things.
I was really excited on my first day, enthusiastic. I felt I was going to have a good placement.
Most of my placement was on my own but within a team, if that makes sense. As in, the whole team would maybe be working on the same thing, but then I'd have my own part of it to do on my own.
You will be part of a team, you won't be on your own. And if you can't work well in a team, then you're going to struggle.
I think working in a team has real benefits because you do get to bounce your ideas off people. But I am perfectly happy to work alone.
Even though we're in that team, we all kind of worked individually.
I worked mainly alone in my office, in my edit suite.
Definitely working from the bottom would be scary to do it, but practical in other terms in that you're going to get the experience, you're going to learn everything on the way up.
But I think people going into it thinking it's all a happy place and we're going to get paid lots of money, it's not quite like that.
Money definitely plays a big role, especially as most to get work experience they don't normally pay you.
Through doing the placements has made me realise how organised you've got to be.
When you're at a university, you can get into a cycle of kind of freedom and you can work whenever you like.
Yeah, from the students that I've talked to in the creative industries, I'd say they're starting to realise now the kind of skill that they need.
Now, whilst before degrees tended to be about that wide and about that deep, technology is forcing us, because we only have a limited amount of time for a degree, to go wider. So therefore we have to go shallower. I think some people see that as devaluing the degree. I happen to totally disagree with that myself.
Being educated to a degree level obviously shows you've got a certain level of understanding, but if you can combine that knowledge of understanding with proactive work experience, you're then the finished article, and I think that's the difference.
Even though you have a degree, you will still be entering on the lower levels with very little pay, so it does make me ask questions to myself: is it worth the time, the effort and the money?
I mean, I've spoken to some people and they said that obviously they get a load of CVs, the first thing they do is chuck out the ones that haven't got a degree. I mean, that's one benefit to having a degree.
I don't know, personally I think a degree probably helps because you learn skills and get the opportunity to use resources that you wouldn't have normally. But I think the actual experience is what people look for. But then you're not going to get experience if you don't know how to use everything that you need to use in the first place.
I think because I had a degree, it supported the idea that I can pick up skills quickly and I can follow something through and achieve good results. But at the same time, I know plenty of people who haven't gone to university who are doing really well for themselves and earning the similar amount of money. So I think it's a really tough call, and I think with the tuition fees going up and just, you know, how expensive it is to have a degree, I can see why people aren't necessarily 100% as convinced now as they were in the past.
When I was at my placement, my manager told me, "Oh, don't bother going back to uni. You can do the job now, so why do you need a degree?"
Would I ever tell a student not to get work experience?
No.
Oh no.
No.
I would never tell a student not to get work experience.
As far as I'm concerned, there are no minus points to taking a placement in industry.